They're coming in. California's top funny car drivers are coming this Saturday night to Irwindale Raceway. It's an all-out factory showdown with such outstanding entries as Gas Ronda and his Ford Mustang, Charlie Allen and his Dodge Dart, the 188-mile-per-hour Hemi Cuda, the sensational Doug's Headers Corvair, the Harry Canary Plymouth from Northern California, D. Keaton's flip-top Mercury Comet, the Bloomin' Bullet Chevy Camaro, and many, many more. They'll all be battling it out for a special $1,000 first prize. It's the showdown of the year. Ford, Chrysler, and General Motors all clashing at Irwindale Raceway for an all-out open competition. No increase in prices. Don't be late. Qualifying ends at 6:30. The first round of eliminations get underway at 7 p.m. Also in the same show, a wild 8-car A-Gas supercharged bonus event. That's this Saturday night, 2 miles north of West Covina and the San Bernardino Freeway, Irwindale Raceway.
Serving Southern California from Pasadena.
KRLA.
Having a schedule which boasts of nearly 20 national events, drag racing is now being referred to as the sport of the 70s. And one of the prime movers in the evolution of drag racing has been the Plymouth Rapid Transit System.
The Orange Crush IHRA Summer Nationals.
Let's talk about Union Grove, Wisconsin.
And are you ready for this? Big Daddy Don Garlitz, Ronnie Sox, Cheryl Greer, Clayton Harris, Tom Mongoose McEwen,
Jim and Allison Lee, Black Magic, Billy the Kid Step, Detroit Tiger, James Warren,
Roger Lindemood, L.A. Hooker, Marvin Schwartz, Gold Digger, General Lee Edwards, Moby Dick,
The Hustler, Roy Hill, Dale Crazy, Chicken Choker, Barry Setzer, Mr. Norm.
and all the UDRA dragsters, pro stocks, and funny cars.
In side-by-side qualifying the 4th of July weekend.
Friday and Saturday nights, 8 p.m., Sunday, 2 p.m., rain date Monday.
Plus this outstanding attraction all 3 days.
Muhammad Ali's $100,000 24-karat gold-plated movie
The
car.
very same car featured in Ollie's life story movie, The Greatest.
And special for Friday night, adult admission, just $5.
Or $10 for your entire family, including all the kids.
If you're planning on just one race this year, make it the biggest.
The Orange Crush IHRA Summer Nationals, 4th of July weekend.
Friday and Saturday, 8 p.m., Sunday, 2 p.m., rain date Monday.
Broadway Bob's Great Lakes Breakaway, Union Grove, Wisconsin.
Advance tickets at all Ticketrons until next Thursday.
Free pit pass and free guest under 16 with all Saturday and Sunday advance tickets.
guess probably the biggest thing that a driver thinks about before the race is making sure that his car is prepared properly. You always worry about all the little details being done. You work as hard as you can with the time that you have. But I think most drivers are like myself. Once the engine starts, you forget all about that and you worry only about the task at hand, which is making a good burnout, getting the tires sticky, getting staged properly, and getting down to quarter mile just as fast and quick as you can.
It's like flying an airplane or something. You're just by yourself in a car, you know, all alone out there.
It's something that gets into your system. Just pulls you back into the seat and sinks your eyeballs back a few inches and you're ready.
I used to feel as though the fellas were really for me, you know, really wanted me to stay in the top fuel ranks, but there seems to be a lot of sour grapes as far as the boys are concerned. I love beating them. That is the reason I'm staying in it.
And here is Shirley Cha-Cha Muldowney, the only woman licensed to drive a top fuel dragster.
They think it's a male sport. It's not a male sport. It's just that, you know, I'm a race car driver. I just happen to be a woman, that's all. Doesn't make any difference.
Well, I'm a target. It's like them old gunfighters of the West. Constantly, everyone's taking a shot at you. And every run that I make when I go to the line in competition, the guy that races me gives it his best shot.
And it used to be a thing with me. You know, I just love to get to the boys. I just love the tantrums they throw, and they kick their cars and beat their cars with their helmets. And it's great. I like it.
I work for a speed shop, and I hang around the races. I love the cars, and I love the competition. I love the men.
To go down the road with a rig like I have and spare engines and parts and whatever, probably you're talking around $50,000.
Some races pay as much as $35,000, a little as $1,000. That's about. You like to win the big ones, obviously.
Well, I think the top 10 pros all earn over $200,000 a year in this sport. I know I do, and I'm sure some of the rest earn as much or more.
I look at drag racing as in a different aspect. It's more of a hobby to me, so I don't try and make any money off of it. If the car will pay for itself and maintain, you know, after I put everything in it to get it running, I'm happy.
In 1950, before drag racing, where I come from in Florida, they didn't have a drag strip, and we drag raced on the streets. Of course, we got a lot of trouble doing that, and that's why we got our local drag strip, which was in those days just an old abandoned Air Force runway.
I think the most drastic difference between then and now was just about anybody could go racing that really had an intention to do so. The cars themselves, $1,000 would be a tremendous amount of money to spend on a car. I myself started out with a single unblown Buick engine, went to a dual unblown engined car, then one blown and one unblown engine. The next step was 4 engines. After that, it seemed to be a little ridiculous.
Dave Anderson, 544. 285.71 miles an hour for the pollution factor.
With this car, you get an instant 3,000 horsepower or more. I get about 3.5 G's of force against my body. It is a true rocket, like the astronauts use for the moon.
The basic controls that you find in a top fuel car are probably just a little bit more complicated than most people think of, but really very simple and basic. We have a hand brake, since both feet are busy, the right foot on the throttle and the left foot on the clutch. So all the braking is done with a hand brake. On the left side, we have the shifting lever for the 2-speed transmission. The forward position in this car is low gear. The reverse position is high gear. Generally shift this approximately 600 feet down the track, which means when you stage the car, you hold the brake, you leave the starting line, change hands on the wheel, and shift. The final one is probably the most important to a driver, and that's this parachute release over on the right-hand side. Just going into the timing traps at the finish line, just move the lever forward and it pulls a pin in the chute, which flops the parachute out on the ground and slows you down from a 230 mile an hour run. and all you have to do is manipulate all these different controls in the period of 6 seconds.
There's just danger in the speed. We run 230 miles an hour, and with the speed, it's dangerous, and we have a fire danger. Well, we burn nitromethane, which is a waste product. It consumes about 4 gallons to the quarter mile, and that's why it's impractical to use it as a motor fuel in a passenger car. I've done just about everything you can do in one of these things. Rolled, burned, crashed, flew. Drag racing is far out.
Day. Pro stocks, jets, wheel standards, funny cars, top fuelers, and 2 373 Vegas. Bruce Larson, USA 1. Frankie Acano. In the Underglass. The Paddy Wagon. Baruta. Don Shoemaker Stardust. Farina Machine. The DGNY. Art Arfon. TV Tommy Ivo. The Jade Grenade. Big Daddy Don Garland. And a guy and a girl will each win a 73 Vegas set up by New England Speed Equipment, Brighton Avenue, Alston. Wheelies, jets, pro stocks, funnies, fuelers, including Big Daddy Don Garland. Maybe you'll win one of the Vegas. Come early. New England Dragway, Route 101, Epping, New Hampshire.
Being you.
It's a good, clean sport, you know. A lot of stiff competition. You can't beat it.
We sit up here at the top row every year, just have a ball. Freeze to death part of the time, but have
It's very colorful. I think the cars are they're very creative. Their designs and colors and names.
And the smell of the fumes and the big blowouts that they have here and things like that. The smell and the noise is what is so exciting. It's a lot of noise.
I don't know, it's almost a sexual thing, I think. People really get their kicks out here.
I get so much enjoyment because they're running about 2 seconds faster than they were in '69.
No, it's neat. It's fantastic to see the cars race.
Only once a year do Eastern drag racing fans see every big name in the sport. The NHRA Summer Nationals at Raceway Park in Englishtown, New Jersey. It's July 14th through the 17th, and not a superstar is missing. Shirley Muldowney, Gary Beck, Don Prudhomme, the Blue Max, Bob Glidden, Lee Shepard, all the funny cars, top fuelers, and pro stocks for a $700,000 purse. Qualifying is Thursday, 11 a.m. to 6, Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10. Final Sunday, July 17th, 11 a.m. Ticketron has reserved seats now. The Summer Nationals, Raceway Park, Englishtown, New Jersey.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday! It's ground-pounding, heart-stopping quarter-mile mayhem as Big Daddy Don Garlits and Don the Snake Prudhomme chase three-time Top Fuel Eliminator world champion Shirley Cha-Cha Muldowney down the quarter-mile of death in their 7,000-horsepower nitro-burning suicide machines as they shake hands with the devil when they scream to the burning gates of hell. We'll sell you the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge. Be there!
What's it like to be a full-time drag racer? To be sure, it's not all big checks and trophy queens. There's a lot of hard work and heartbreaks in between. Let's hear the story from some of Plymouth's pros.
You get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, you go out to the track tomorrow, and you run all day, and then you come back tomorrow afternoon, and you work, till late tomorrow night, or maybe all night, making sure that everything's ready to go back again Saturday. And it's not just a 9-to-5 job, that's for sure.
But we enjoy it, right?
That's right.
I think it was 2 years ago that I decided I was either going to do better or quit. Because the hours I put in, if I would pick another profession, I would have to make as much money, maybe more, for less hours.
You put all that you have into it, put all of your energy and all of your money and your time into it to make it, make your car run as good as what it can, to make your car look as good as what it can.
Sometimes I tend to psych myself out by worrying about the clutch and worrying about the motor, and that's what I constantly think about, just the whole machine.
All pros in a tough game called the sport of the 70s. A sport which traces its origin to the wastelands of Southern California. There it was nurtured carefully by tough sportsmen. This is where drag racing came from. In the 30s and into the 40s, cars raced against the clock in straightaway time trials on the dusty, windswept dry lakes and salt flats, baked by an unmerciful sun. That's where the drag action was. By 1946, Southern California Timing Association had some 25 clubs, and a major meet would draw 200 or more cars. The cars ran the gamut of creativity, with speed, the sole objective. In the middle 40s, this was the look. Flatheads, four-bangers, running with V8s and even V12s on inactive military strips. A lot of $300 mustering out checks put the hot rodders back on wheels. Then came men like Stu Hilburn, magicians with carburetors, camshafts, fuel, and the like, some real motor science. They tamed the V8s, added streamlined chassis, and proceeded to break the 150-mile-an-hour barrier. By the middle 50s, drag racing had its basic ground rules and definitions. An acceleration contest over a quarter-mile distance from a standing start. A single car run or a competitive run between two cars. The rear engine dragster, oh, little did they realize then what they had. Ingenuity is the real heart of drag racing, but the sport is still trial and error. That's the fun of it. In 1951, the first Chrysler Hemi engine came on the scene. It took a couple of years to harness the power of this giant of an engine, but most of the pros realized then it could be the foundation power plant for years to come. As more horsepower became available, the drag tire got more attention. By 1959, Jack Chrisman really going after the speed records. 181 miles an hour. The stock cars were given their own class. Drag racing had moved to a new era. By 1963, the stock car had its place. The grandstands, a population explosion. And in the NHRA Nationals, it's a pair of super stock wedges for the championship. 64 Winter Nationals. Ever the innovator, Don Garlits relied on penny power to propel his winged racer to a AA fuel win. 1966, again Pomona. A tough team comes in from North Carolina. Ronnie Sox driver, Buddy Martin team manager, Jake King, master engine builder. This the meet in which Shirley Shahan becomes the first woman ever to win a major drag racing championship as she defeats Joe Smith in another Hemi Plymouth and takes the Super Stock title. 1967, Thunder Valley, Bristol, Tennessee. National Hot Rod Association Spring Nationals. Even more professionalism obvious. The best drag equipment ever, like this sleek Plymouth with Ronnie Sox drag. In the other lane, Ron Mancini. Another record crowd to watch. And it's Ronnie Sox winning the Super Stock Eliminator title. Back to Indy again in '68 for the NHRA Nationals. First time total prize monies for a meet had gone past $150,000. And again, it's a Plymouth. In the Super Stock Finals, Arlen Banky of Akron, Ohio, against Wally Booth in his Midwest Auto Special.
As Arlen Banky, Super Stock Z.
And at the top end, it's Akron Arnie for the win. After a long winter's work, the '69 national racing events begin in Pomona, California. Bigger crowds, bigger prize monies, and the most professional field of drag racers ever assembled. This describes the NHRA Winter Nationals, where longtime regional champion Don Grother burst into national prominence by defeating Jerry Harvey's Cobra Jet Mustang to pick up all the gold, and with it, the Super Stock Eliminator title. On to Phoenix, Beeline Dragway, the site of the American Hot Rod Association's Winter Nationals. It is here that Ronnie Sox is honored by AHRA President Jim Tice as the association's Driver of the Year. As if to prove that this award is in the right hands, Sox proceeds to win top stock eliminator honors in his fleet Hemi Roadrunner, storming by this Mustang with a strong pop-in charge. Arlen Banky completed the Plymouth sweep at Beeline as the '68 national champ. Four speeds his Hemi Cuda past Ed Terry's Cobra Jet for an easy Super Stock Eliminator championship. Further proof of Plymouth's drag strength shown at the NHRA Indy Nationals. Here, the personable team of Tritac and Morgan take their war wagon, the venerable wedge-powered Plymouth wagon that has terrorized the East Coast for years, to a decisive stock Eliminator championship. The red, white, and blue Cuda of Sox and Martin backs up the Super Stock Eliminator crown they won at the '69 Spring Nationals by once again defeating the strongest Super Stocks in the nation to pick up a second major Eliminator crown for the year. A figure that would grow to 3 before too long, as the popular Burlington, North Carolina duo would go on to win the NHRA World Point Finals at Dallas later in the year. In Top Fuel, Don the Snake Prudhomme was a picture of consistency. He notched his second Indy National Top Fuel Eliminator title in his Plymouth-powered Digger. He outran Kelly Brown for the big win. He would not have made it this far without a strong assist from the weatherman. A brief rain shower gave him the time necessary to replace a broken engine between rounds. 1970 has been referred to as the Super Season, as NHRA expanded its schedule of national events to 7, and AHRA instituted its 10-race Grand American Championship. The crowds were bigger than ever. The purses were too, and a new class of cars, the Pro Stocks, emerged, bringing the fans to their feet whenever they ran. From Plymouth's point of view, 1970 was truly a super season, as notables like Sox and Martin, Don Grother, Arlen Banky, and Don Prudhomme carried the Rapid Transit System's colors to the winner's circle again and again and again. At Indianapolis, the Pro Stock Eliminator Final saw Arlen Banky racing Sox and Martin in an all-Hemi Duster contest. and blue car got there first to claim their second straight Indy National crown and their second straight NHRA Pro Stock Eliminator Championship in NHRA competition for the year. The Snake, Don Prudhomme, one of the most intense competitors in drag racing today, picked up his third Indy Nationals Fuel Eliminator title by defeating Jim Nickel in the final run. Veteran observers claim this was the most spectacular drag race ever seen. Both drivers recorded sub 6.5 second runs. Prudhomme, 6.45, quick enough to nip Nickel at the finish line. Then, disaster. Nickel's butt explodes, saws his car in half. The roll cage section with Jim inside tumbles into the grass. The nose section crosses Prudhomme's path. Don, the moments after, were a time for real soul-searching. Was the glory worth the risks involved? Minutes later, hearing that his friend Jim Nickel was okay, these thoughts vanish, and attention turns to the winner's circle and the next race. Ontario, California, the NHRA Super National, the last event on the 1970 national racing schedule. A fitting end to a season that saw Sox and Martin with 4 major NHRA Pro Stock Eliminators, including the NHRA World Championships, and these along with 8 out of 10 AHRA Grand Americans and the AHRA World Championship. Plymouth also won the NHRA Manufacturers Championship. The rapid transit system had made its mark. The last race of the Super Nationals marks the close of National Drag Racing's biggest season ever. But the Plymouth pros who helped make drag racing the sport of the 70s do not rest on their laurels now, not by a long shot, because they all know how quickly the fans will forget if they quit winning.
Professional Super Stock Showdown! This Saturday night at Detroit Dragway.
Plymouth and Chrysler Corporation fans will be cheering for the #1 car in the country, Ronnie Sox and Buddy Martin in the Sox and Martin Plymouth.
Chevrolet and General Motors fans will be cheering for their man, the fastest Chevrolet in the United States, the Ford 27 Camaro of Bill Grumpy Jenkins.
Dodge fans will be cheering for a brand new Super Stock, the all-new Dodge Challenger Super Stock of the Ram Chargers.
Detroit area Chevy lovers will see the fast-rising Camaro Super Stock of Mike Bond.
Ford enthusiasts are counting on the 429 Maverick of Fast Eddie Shartman.
Pontiac fans cheering for Arnie Beswick.
Bill Jenkins taking on Ronnie Sox and the Ram Chargers.
A wide-open professional Super Stock showdown with everybody there.
Saturday night, 8 p.m. at Detroit Dragway. Sibley and Dix.
Summertime is inevitable.
U.S. All-Pro Funny Car Championship. 32 funny cars. See the Wild Burnout Competition. California's John Brute Force. The Kmart Motivator. Black Magic. The 5-second Skull Bandit. 32 funny cars. See the super fast Spitfire and Mirage jet-powered funny cars going for the speed record. See all the funny cars line up at the same time, California style. Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock at Old Bridge Township Raceway Park, 2 miles north of Englishtown, New Jersey.